talk about a fervent believer in the right to keep and bear arms, you're not going to find a much stronger one than Maj Toure. I met Maj a while back at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and the message he brings is an important one, and he's going to share that with you. We need to have reach out in a lot of different directions, and Maj is sort of an expert in reaching out in a lot of different directions. So with no further ado, this is Maj Toure. He's the founder of Black Guns Matter.
All right, so everybody can hear me, right? Yeah. All right, so listen, I'm going to tell y'all a story. So, they don't want me to tell the story. Too many bees. The bees are disappearing. Has anybody noticed that? There was a story where there was this guy, and he owned land, right? And he grew stuff on the land. But he noticed the dude that was the governor was kind of like creating spaces where it wasn't really safe for him. He also noticed, like, man, you got a lot of land, Governor, and you aren't really doing a lot of the things necessary to secure the safety of the citizens. He didn't like this particular governor. He also noticed that the governor created more and more restrictions to separate and isolate different pockets of people from different backgrounds. Now, mind you, all of the people from those different backgrounds were also being under attack by an outside entity. So it would seem like it's common sense. Common sense. That's another thing. We got to start taking them words back, them phrases. Okay? It's called spelling, casting spells. Okay? Now, so you have this guy, and he's like, yo, man, y'all are actually, you as the governor, aren't really doing your job. I'm concerned about my land. I'm concerned about other people. And then he talks to other people from a different background, and they're like, you think you got it bad. I don't even have the right to do anything. I can't read. I can't write. I can't even leave the place that I'm at because I'm like a slave. And that particular guy, let's nickname him Bacon. Let's just nickname him Bacon. Bacon says, well, if you're under the same grip of tyranny that I am, well, why don't you just get arms and defend yourself and we'll just do our own thing, since this governor won't allow us the space to protect our human right. And the guy says, well, again, you must have not heard me. I'm kind of enslaved. So what Bacon did was, he said, listen, we should rebel. You're under the same exact grip of tyranny that I'm in. Yours is actually worse than mine. Because not only are you not even thinking about the concept of arming because you've been mentally enslaved, your movements are restricted by rules, and you're a captive. So what Bacon did was, he started a rebellion. He burned the Capitol down. Awkward moment where all of the people in the crowd say, well, wait, we're far more advanced and far further away from this mythical story that you're talking about, Maj. So, they go on a rebellion. They burn capitals down. They actually fight tyranny because there were no other options, because we've tried to reason with this governor. But they lost. They knocked a whole bunch of things down. They did what they needed to do. They were actually patriots in action from different ethnicities, right? What did the governor do? The governor, after they quelled this rebellion and his squad, because it's never just one dude. It's never just one dude. What the governor did was they created rules and said, you know what? One, we're going to create this concept of race in America. We're going to keep and separate different groups of people, and we're going to create caste systems. So never mind the melanated beings that are already landowners in America. We're going to create concepts. And on top of that, we're going to make the white people that were just linking up with the black people, we're going to give them a little bit more land and a little bit more incentive for them to create separation between their white brothers and sisters. This is a true story. This happened here in Virginia. How many people are aware of Bacon's Rebellion? I am a fan of diplomacy. I am a fan of politics. I am also a fan of resisting tyranny, and I know my personal level of commitment to that. Now, if that story makes you cringe, one, it should. If it makes you cringe for the racist policies, it should. If it makes you cringe because I said they burned down a state building, you should stop calling yourself a patriot. You should stop saying things or identify what your level of commitment to this is. If you just want to be like Ephiantes when Leonidas told him, hey man, you can help us by cleaning up the bodies or helping tend to the wounded, that's a part of the army too. If your position is, hey, I want to do paperwork. Me, I've never built the AR in my life. I'm never building an AR. I'm not doing it. I don't even put together puzzles. It's not my thing. Okay? I know my personal level of commitment, and I'm a fan of diplomacy. The founding fathers to this nation were super fans, with their contradictions, super fans of diplomacy. But in 1775, when the British was like, yo, send them rifles back, bro. The founding fathers said no. They shot them. The reason why your legislation and legislators, your rhinos, right? Your Democrat, well, I can't even come up with a bad name for the Democrat. They've been what they've been the entire time. The reason why they're not afraid is because we cringe at the concept of accepting a certain level of commitment to your nation. A patriot is a woman or man that loves his countrymen to the point where they will protect their countrymen and women from a tyrannical government. The founding fathers shot the British. Cringe, not from him. I am a fan of diplomacy. I am a fan of legislative action. I am a fan of civil discourse. History, though, has shown me otherwise. If you are not willing to accept that level of commitment, you can still kind of be a patriot. You can still help out. You can still do things. The first thing that you need to do is be aware of what the history and the state that you're in. You guys is, what is it that on the state seal? Anybody know what that says? What does that mean? Meaning, y'all got like a person with a foot on the neck of a tyrant. It probably got past the point of diplomacy. Now these are stories, these are histories, these are herstories. See what I did there? Because a lot of times we leave the women out. We leave out one of the greatest patriots of all time that we've ever known in America. We leave out a Harriet Tubman. Plot twist. We leave out a Ida B. Wells. We leave out the women. None of us are here without women. It's just it. I'm not, so many things that I don't know what to do. Is it on my schedule? I don't know. Saying this to say, when we're telling these histories and herstories, we have to make sure that we recognize that we are actually in the history and herstory that we're discussing. To my immediate right here, not immediate, a little bit extended right, in these pictures right here. You have the same guy that's pushing the same policy that same type of governor created, and is saying we need to do things not only to separate white, Latin, Indian, Native, Choctaw, whatever, Asian, doesn't matter. We need to not only create a caste system that separates white from black, but we also want to re-up on the levels of racism that we're going to do it with. And then at the same time, he would wish to make these type of pictures go away like that's not his MO. That's his modus operandi. That is what we're dealing with. The policies that a governor govern. I don't want to be governed. The policies that this governor is supporting and pushing and telling you is a part of for your safety. If that ain't some Orwellian vibes, I don't know what is. This is the same mentality of a governor that instead of making the citizens that he's supposed to serve have the means to protect themselves, this guy will double down with it, act like he doesn't recall when it happened, and at the same time convince you and all of those mothers over there from Moms in Demand that want the same type of safety that everybody in this crowd wants. They will convince you that there's nothing wrong with this and those policies. He would try to convince you that his mentality and the legislation that he would push is the direct opposite of these pictures that he took. The biggest trick that the devil ever played was convincing the world that he didn't exist. So, in closing, I want this picture to burn in your mind. I want you to understand that this is racist. This policy of gun control, when you're talking to those moms that are dealing with trauma, those dads that are dealing with trauma, you have to let them know that these racist policies do not solve. They don't heal. We need healing from trauma. We need people to know that they're safe, not just feel safe. You need to make sure that you're reaching out to everyone, informing them that this simple fact of all gun control being racist, explain to them what the origins of it were in Virginia, and inform them to do the opposite. I want to thank you all for coming out today. You have all been wonderful. You could be anywhere right now. You could be anywhere. It's nice out. You could be anywhere right now. This is important. We need each other. We have to make sure that we are creating a different type of potentially diplomatic rebellion, and understand that the people in those buildings work for us. We do not work for them.